Hi everyone, it's Jimmy. Today I'm going to be showing you some really rare old sim snowboards. You know, my goal with this channel is to be able to share these old snowboards with you guys and share some history. But like I said, we're going to be talking about some sim stuff today. You can kind of see them in the background here. And I'll kind of explain a little bit of the history. Some of the sim stuff is you know, it's not like the years aren't always straightforward. Tom Sims was always experimenting and doing different things. So some boards had different combinations of things. It's not like the Burton stuff. It's a little harder to figure out what years things are, but I can give you a pretty good breakdown of what I think and the things I've learned about these boards. Yeah, let's take a look at some of the stuff that I have here. Okay, so as most of you know, Tom Sims started off making skateboards before he got into the snowboarding scene. So here I got one of his skateboards right here. This is an old Sims Woodkick. What I really love about this board here is that it still has the original price tag from the shop where it was purchased from, and at that time it was $22.50. I thought that was cool, and you can kind of see the original finish on it. Really neat. But one thing I really love about Tom Sims is that he had really clean designs. And I loved his logos. Everything was really, really just cool looking. And he made a lot of the skateboard wheels as well. But let's look at some of the snowboards here. We'll start off with this gold board right here. So this is an 82, 83. So it has a black two-piece P-Tex base that was kind of split in the middle. This one is kind of neat. It's got a lot of skateboard stuff on it, a lot of stickers, but I love it. I think it's cool. It brings you back in time. It's a time capsule, really neat. And you can see here, this board has the two-piece bindings that came on this board. They went from these two-piece bindings to these one-piece bindings that you see here. You can kind of just see the buckles here. It's a one-piece design, very simple, but very cool. So, and I mean, this stuff was really good. I mean, you got to remember at the time, you know, other boards had bungee straps. Sometimes they had like those water ski bindings. Versus this was pretty advanced for that time. You can kind of see the Sims leash right here. Just very, very neat. Very cool stuff. I love this kind of stuff. And Tom Sims, with those early Sims boards, he used to, you know, write the size of it, the number of the board, and he would sign it. So just really, really neat. And I even like the fins on this one. They're long, they're polished, really, really nice. Tom Sims did a good job on that board. All right, the next one is this red Sims 1500 FE. So this board here is a prototype. So I got this from somebody in California, from the Tahoe area. I got two boards. Actually, the black one next to it, these boards both came together. But this board is an 84. So I was talking to Michael Chantry about this board, and we both figured it was a 1984. You can kind of see it just has a simple white base, no metal edges. And they used it pretty good. No metal edges, just fins there. And it doesn't have the channels like some of these boards. You can kind of see the bumps here, the channels that these boards brought. This one's just completely flat. Sorry about the noise with the dogs. We get a lot of wildlife, so you're gonna probably hear them in the background. All right, buddy. Shh. So yeah, so that's an early prototype 1500 FE. All right, so this next board here is a Sims 1600 FE. So this board right here, you can kind of see it's got extra inserts on it compared to this red 1600 FE here. This one has the original production inserts on it. So, and it's got the channels. So the 1600 FE was the longer version of the 1500 FE, and they're actually more rare to find than the 1500 FEs. So anytime you see one, it's kind of a surprise. But the 1600 FE is one of my favorite boards. And this one right here, you can kind of see that they were definitely messing around with this board, trying to figure things out. They were already filling out the holes for the fins. You can see how they're filled here. And this board had metal edges on it. So this was when Tom was first adding metal edges to his boards. But these were the production metal edges, not the ones that were that he took off of skis and put on boards. Now the red 1600 FE that you see right here, these red ones are very, very rare. I can't remember how many they made, but it wasn't very many. This one I picked up from somebody in California, and they're just really, really neat boards. So that black prototype, that one is a 1984, and this one I believe is a 1985. So a lot of people, before they were riding some of these Sims boards, a lot of people were riding a lot of the winter sticks, and they were breaking those, and these boards were definitely more durable. A lot of those winter sticks, they were made more for powder, and these guys were definitely putting a beating on some of these boards. So, but the Sim stuff was definitely more durable. For the time period, they were definitely more advanced than any other brand that was out there. And you always hear about Tom Sims and Jake competing with each other, and they definitely, if you grab a Burton board and you grab a Sims board, you can definitely see the similarities and how year after year they were kind of trying to outdo each other with edges, with P-Tex bases. But in my opinion, I would say that Tom Sims was definitely ahead of his time, and his boards were more advanced than the Burton stuff at that time. Now looking at this next board here, this is another Sims 1500 FE. The FE stood for fiberglass epoxy. Now this board here is, you can kind of see the channels on it, not like that first prototype one. But this is a new old stock. I couldn't believe it when I got it. It was sold to me like in good condition, but it ended up being new old stock. So I'll be very careful. I want to show you guys the bases, but I have to be super careful that I don't drop these boards. They're kind of already in a sketchy place. But new old stock, never been used. And this one doesn't have metal edges. It just has the metal fins there. So, all right, this next snowboard here is the rarest of all these boards here. So this one is a Sims Terry Kidwell. This is the Roundtail. So this Roundtail is very, very, very difficult to find. One of the rarest snowboards out there. So the first Terry Kidwell Roundtails, those and the prototypes, those came out in 1985. At that time, those boards had fins not only in the center, but also on the sides here. And what I learned from the guy that I bought this board from, he was actually very knowledgeable. And he originally owned one of the first Terry Kidwell Roundtails, the ones that had the 3 fins. But what ended up happening with his board is that he ended up cracking it. So at the time, it was kind of a known problem with those boards. And so he ended up sending this board back to Tom Sims, and Tom ended up sending him this board that you see here as a replacement. And now Tom eliminated those fins on the outside so the board wouldn't crack. So Terry Kidwell is known as the godfather of freestyle snowboarding, and without Terry, without Tom, a lot of us would not be hitting the park right now, because these guys just brought the skate influence into snowboarding. I always think about, you know, if I had to get rid of almost all my snowboards and I could only keep one brand, for me, I think I would keep all the Sim stuff. I always describe these boards as being, you know, sexy, but tough at the same time. I love their shapes, and they just look so tough and so cool. But Tom was definitely ahead of his time, for sure, with these boards compared to his competitors. And then we have a newer, I think it's 1987 Sims right here, an Ultimate 1700. But one of the things that I kind of find funny about some of the Sims and the Burton stuff, you can kind of see, if you grab a Burton board and a Sims board, you can kind of see how Tom and Jake were kind of going at it to be the best. And they really needed each other to improve. It's kind of like when you like, let's say when you race BMX bikes, you know, winning is awesome, but you need that competitor that pushes you. And you always have that one person that keeps pushing you, and they're your rival, but it makes you better. And Jake and Tom were like that. They were definitely making each other better, and everybody won because of it. So, one funny thing too about the Sims and the Burton stuff is that this Sims coat right here, if you guys ever see the footage of the Tahoe City quarter pipe where Terry Kidwell and Sean Palmer are riding those 1500 FEs, this is the coat that they were using at that time. And even though Tom and Jake were competitors, they did a lot of similar stuff too. If you see a lot of like Jake's old jackets, they were all made by CB, and he would put a patch on them. It was no different for Tom Sims. He did the same thing. So a lot of his jackets, like this one here, this early jacket here, it was also made by CB. There it is. You can see the CB logo there. Just a very simple jacket, but this jacket is my favorite. I was lucky to be able to find this one. And this was purchased from one of Tom Sims' friends. So really neat. Like I said, I'm happy to be able to share this video with you guys, just because I don't want to keep my snowboards in a closet. I want to be able to share them with you guys. And eventually what I want to do is show them like like at resorts. I've tried doing that before. It's not as easy to do. But eventually I want to do that if somebody gives me the opportunity. And then one day I'm just going to move on. Maybe I'll keep a couple of boards and then, you know, and then move them on to somebody else that can enjoy them. So that's my goal with all this stuff. And just in the meantime, just share it with you guys. Let me show you another really rare coat. So you see this Sims 1700, Ultimate 1700 right here. It's got those awesome hot colors. Well, check out this jacket right here. So this jacket never made it into production. I got it from the same person that sold me the other jacket, the other early jacket. But again, these were made by CB. You can kind of see the logo there. So really cool piece of snowboarding history right here. Awesome jacket. All right, guys, so here are the bases on these boards with the classic Sims logo, the lettering on most of them. So you can see this black one had that two-piece PTEX base. You can kind of see it's split right here in the middle, it just goes down. So that was a two-piece PTEX base. This 84 FE prototype just had the white base here. Well, there you go, guys. I hope you guys like this video. Please share it with other people that might like it, and watch some of the other videos. They don't get a lot of views, but there's some really cool snowboarding history in there, and I hope to share it with you guys. So have a nice day, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.